Hey guys, my name is Justin Case. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video, we're going to be doing an update to the Losi 8X Elite. We're going to be putting the clutch on the engine, and then we're going to be putting the engine in the car. I'm sorry that this is in a different setting, this video here at the beginning, because, well, I just so happened to fail to record the intro. So, guys, thanks for watching. Alright, now that we got the clutch assembled, we're going to go ahead and get ready to put it on the engine here. First, we're going to put this collar on the engine. The collar is tapered here, so when the flywheel pushes on it, it just tightens the collar down. Alright, so the collar is all the way on like that. Sometimes some people like to pull out on the crankshaft and push down on the collar just to make sure it's fully seated. What we are going to do is we are going to Loctite this. So we're going to use a little bit of blue Loctite. Oh, sorry. Need to shake it first. Always shake your Loctite. Don't know why. It's just something I've always been told. I'm going to put just a little. Oh, that's quite a bit on there actually. Don't really need that much, but that'll be alright. Get it down towards the top, towards the front of the threads there. Okay, so we're going to slide the flywheel on here. Now, to hold the flywheel still, there are some different ways to do it. There are some channel locks that have rubber jaws or plastic jaws in them, but this one we're just going to put a little bit of this on it. It's not going to hurt it because hitting a bump box or hitting rocks and stuff like that, it's going to gouge it anyways, which isn't bad. It's not going to hurt it, but we're still going to put a rag on it just because, well, I like my stuff to stay looking good. So let's slide these open a little bit. About right there. See how tight that is? That feels just about right. Oh, wait. Feels just about right on that flywheel. We're going to take this here and we're really going to torque on it. Okay, so it's got Loctite on it, so Loctite will lock it down. But now we have our flywheel on. So now we're going to go to putting the clutch on. So let me grab some bearings, and we'll get this clutch. I'll grab some bearings and some shims, and we'll get this clutch ready to go right on. Okay, so now we've got our clutch bell sitting here. We've got the screw that's going to hold the clutch on. We've got our bearings here, and then we've got some shims. So first things first, a lot of people like to put a shim back here on the back side just to make sure the clutch isn't going to ride against these. Well, some of the motors have pins here, but right against these screws. Let's go ahead and put the bearings in our clutch bell. So on this clutch bell, it's got a large bearing on the inside, a small bearing on the outside. It looks like it's got a 5x13x4 on the inside, and the outside is a 5x10x4. But anyways, we'll stick that inner bearing in there. And right now, the clutch, see if I push down on it, it's turning the flywheel also. I don't know if you see it. It turns the flywheel if I push down on the clutch, which means the clutch is actually touching the pins. So we're gonna slide that back out. We're gonna shim the clutch out a little bit to keep the inside of the clutch bell from touching these here. So we're gonna try one shim. Nope, clutch bell's still touching. Pull the bearing back off again. Oh, shim stuck to the bearing. Try two shims. Put the bearing back in the clutch bell again. Set it down on here. Now you can see it's not touching anymore. It's not spinning it. If I push down on it, it doesn't spin. So that's great. So now we're going to look at how many shims we need on the back of this. We're going to put it in. Now we're going to use Loctite when we go to put it together. But we're going to put that in there and we're going to run this down. We'll set this up here. And we set that up there. There is way too much play. So we're gonna put a shim on there. Still just a hair too much. I want about half of that. Let's get these two shims lined up on this plate. So let's run this down in there, see how it feels, see how it looks. Okay, so we've got that ran in. Okay, so actually, I don't know if you could see. Let's get it to focus. Sorry guys, using my phone, it's just not that great. But anyways, there is about, looks like a 1/2 millimeter. Maybe about a 1/2 millimeter play in and out, which is absolutely perfect. Okay, so we're gonna pull the screw back out. We're gonna Loctite it and put it back in. Okay, one little drop. Okay, let's run this back down in there. Doesn't have to be super tight, just needs to be good and snug. Get this back down where you can see it. I'd say that's good. Absolutely perfect. Okay guys, now that we've got the clutch on the engine, we're gonna get ready to put the exhaust on the engine. That way we can put it in as one whole unit and then take it out as one whole unit. There's a lot of people that like to take the exhaust loose. I don't see a reason to, whenever all you've got to do when you go to pull the engine is on the end of the exhaust where the stand is, you just take one screw loose. And then the whole engine exhaust come out all in one piece. So let's get this stuff open. I think it's absolutely beautiful exhaust. Wow, hobby knife needs a new blade. Now, I know I'm getting fingerprints on it, but look at that. That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let's open this here. You gotta watch it. There's some little screws. I'm sorry. I mean some little. Yeah, there's some little springs. As we can remember, the engine's already got the gasket on it. The gasket's a little, I don't know, a little oily. So I'm just gonna wipe some of the oil off of it. And I'm gonna get ready to stick the header here on it. When you're looking at it, this one here's got 4 holes around it, right? Well, 3 holes. This one here's got 3 holes around it, which is gonna go to the pipe itself. This here has 4 holes, 2 and 2, for these springs to hold it on. Okay, so now that we have this sitting on here, we're gonna go ahead and put the spring on there to hold it on. So we're gonna go on the bottom right here, and we're gonna spin it around. We're gonna grab the spring and we're gonna pull the spring all the way around. We're gonna hook it on the top on this other side. So make sure you have a good pair of needle nose pliers with some teeth on them, because if you don't, the spring will take a chance of shooting across the room. Make sure you got a good bite on it. Hook it on top right there. Whew! That was a little tight. That was a little tight. But you can see we got a spring on there holding the exhaust on. Looks like it's gonna be good. Just double checking, looking. That should be good. So now we're gonna use one of these red gaskets that come with it, and it's gonna go on the end of the pipe here, and they're tight, which is perfect. All right. So I got that on there. We're gonna put this pipe in here. We're gonna line the holes up the best possible. Oh no, that's gonna be, yeah, that'd be pointing straight out the side of the buggy. That's perfect. So I put these little springs on here. These little boogers here, they will fly. So if you're not careful and these things get away from you, have fun trying to find them. But then you see we got that top one on. We'll put these other two on. Two. And the third. I'm gonna go right here. Get this end in. Then we'll get it ready to pull it across. All right, there we go. So the pipe is on the engine. All right, so we got the engine here. So these are motor mounts for the car that attach to the big one-piece motor mount to make it easy to pull the engine in and out without having to get to these little screws all the time. So we're gonna go ahead and put these on the engine. That way we can get the engine ready to set in the car. So first we'll take it and we'll turn it like that. So when we got to put these on, I'm gonna be using this Loctite here. It's a lot cleaner, it's not near as messy. It works just fine. So these screws are gonna be 2.5. You may need a 2.5 ball head to put these in because you're probably gonna have to go in an angle if you don't want to take the head off. So we'll go ahead and start with these. Screw right here. I'll just dab a little bit of Loctite on it here. Not a lot, just see it's got just a little dab right there on it. And whenever we go to run that down into the hole, it'll go down in the threads just fine. Let's see if I can do this and position it to where y'all can see what I'm doing. So these motor mounts, we're gonna run the cooling fin, the cooling edge outwards. Run it up. You don't have to get it tight or snug yet because you still do have to get another screw in there. Get some Loctite on this one too. Get some Loctite on it. We'll run it down in there. Again, like I was talking about a ball head, as you can see, if you look at the angle I'm having to screw them in at, you have to use a ball end. You're just not going to get it, not going to be able to get to it with a straight unless you take a chance in, you know, maybe stripping the screws or if you're going to pull the head off. So these are pretty, they just go pretty snug. I don't go overly tight because you are going into aluminum and I don't want to strip it. So we'll go ahead and do the other side now. It's the side with the pipe on it. So it's going to be a little inconvenient. Y'all won't be able to, probably won't be able to watch it or see it, but we're going to do it anyways. A little bit of Loctite. Cooling fins outwards like I was saying. We got it started, so we'll run it down just till it touches and we'll grab the other screw and put it in. We're locked tight. Now, a lot of people may be thinking Loctite on these screws isn't worth it because, you know, the heat of the engine, but you need some kind of holding power. There are guys out there, guys like Mayfield and whatnot, that have had motor screws back out in the middle of mains, and well, what does it do to a guy at that level, you know? I don't want to be that guy that has a motor screw back out. So a little bit of Loctite, at least it tries to help some. Okay, so now we've got the mounts on the engine. We're going to move the car over here. We're going to get it ready to put the engine in it. All right, so we got the car here. Motor mount screws. Now, the engine, everything is going to sit down in here, you know, just like this. But as you can see, I'm going to have to move the stand. I'm going to have to move the standoff in some, and then we'll have to see where we end up. So I'm going to take this right here, move the standoff since I can a little bit. I'm going to move it kind of inwards, just out of the way for now. I'm going to take the main motor mount right here loose. That way we can loosen the mesh up some. So we can tighten the mesh up some. The mesh is so loose now that the clutch bell, the gear on the clutch bell is actually touching the fuel tank. And, well, we can't have that. All right, so we got the motor mount loose now to where it can slide. You hear it sliding. Set the engine back on. Now I've got another header pipe. It's just not as pretty. But like I said, this is part of building a new car. And there's no way around it. So put these neck screws in and Loctite on them. 2.5s. Get our, see if we can get them in there with the straight without the ball on it. No, it looks like we're gonna need our ball in because it gets just too close right there at the edge. Okay, get that Loctite on this neck screw here. You got the motor mount kind of loose in there, so we're gonna put some screws on this side over here. And it sounds tight, which it is tight right now because it doesn't have the correct gear mesh. Again, ball in 2.5. Run down till it touches. Same thing with these. Snug it. Snug it. Snug it. Snug it. Now we're gonna flip it over. We're gonna get our mesh pretty close. It's too tight. It feels probably about perfect right there, so I'm gonna snug it down. Just snug 2 down so we can see how it feels actually up here on top. Got a little backlash, which is perfect. We're gonna tighten the motor down. They're supposed to be Loctite on here, but we'll be taking it back apart before we ever race it. The gears are a little noisy because it's new, but I can assure you they're not tight. There's plenty of backlash in there. So there you have it. The engine's in the car. We still need to hook up the throttle arm right here, which no big deal. We'll have to loosen this and roll it around. And we'll have to get a different header for it. I've got one, but I'm not sure. I'll have to look at it and see if it'll fit, because that's going to have to get the exhaust pipe pretty close to the fuel tank, which, I don't know. We'll just have to see how it works. Guys, thanks for watching. Hit that like, smash that subscribe, click that little bell icon down there in the corner. That way it keeps you updated anytime there's more content posted.